Hey, so long time no see. I know I intended to get this video out a lot sooner than what it is, but you know what? When I realized that the last category would just be my BJDs, I realized I really needed to get them together. After two moves, one of which was in an absolute hurricane, I found that all of them either needed new face ups or just like general tender love and care. So I really took the time to bond with them again so that I'd be able to introduce them to you. Okay, so I think the best way to take you guys on this dolly journey would be to start with tinies. These are dolls that are on the smaller side in the BJD world, yosd, MSD, and then finally SD. Just because I think I've got more SDs when I include the vinyl dolls as well. So I figured I'd start with probably my latest tiny dolls, but also probably the most neglected of my tiny dolls. My tiny dolls don't really get played with a lot, and these two were actually gifts. These are those tiny dolls that June Planning, the designer of Pulip, did years back, and they're actually a gift from my friend Libby. I'm still working on her. She reminds me a lot of Midori. I've put some designs on her forehead. You can't really see because of this wig that I've glued on. Um, but I actually think that she's probably going to be a version of Midori with all this hair. And this person is going to be some kind of, probably some kind of fawn. But like I said, they're really neglected. I haven't really had the time or the real motivation because they're still telling me who they are. So I haven't really. And her head is so loose. My God. Oh, I've got to work on these girlies. Despite her being so neglected, she is quite cute. I actually really like her. She's on this body that I happened to find on Instagram. I'm not sure of the name of the body. I can't remember rather, but it's perfect. I actually bought this body and I didn't have a head in mind. And then as I was going through the dolls and everything here recently, I was like, oh, that body would be so darling for her. And it is. So I changed her eyes from her original eyes and I put it on this body. And I do think that this hybrid is just darling. I think she wants me to make her some kind of a fur wig just to kind of go with the theme of her body having like the sculpted fur legs and stuff. Yeah. Okay, this little man, I've had him for quite some time. He was actually an anniversary gift of mine, and I actually have a video of his box opening here on the channel. Yeah, Yu is pretty important. He actually came to me with a company face up, but I've since enhanced it. I've added some freckles and given him like some a cute tuft of hair. That's kind of my thing. I love that. I don't know why, but it's something that I've come to put on several of my dolls, which you'll see. But Yuya was, of course, an anniversary gift. I've had him for a long time now, and he's so special, and he is still telling me who he is. He likes to play around in lots of different fashions and stuff. Lots of my boys, as you'll see throughout this video, will be little soft boys, and he's definitely one of them. And I love him so much that I actually made him a diorama. Yeah, this is his diorama. And essentially, it's just a couple of old boxes that I glued together. I really liked the pattern that was on the back of the box. These boxes actually come from a couple of Mario action figures that I have. And the pattern on the back of the box, I actually wish was on fabric. I really wish it were on fabric. It's so cute. But I decided I can't throw it away. So what I did was I just took some fur and a whole bunch of pom poms and stuff, and I made like this ridiculous, incredibly impractical space for Yuya. So yeah, I mean it's incredibly impractical, and I love it. So this is baby Keebler. Sweet little baby. I kind of have a real soft spot for any doll that looks childlike or really sweet like a baby. And these dolls definitely capture that. I believe these are the Island Doll Brew. And I say these because there's another one over here I'm going to show you. But this one right here, his name is Keebler. Little baby Keebler. He likes to play around. He's kind of a trickster. Which is kind of interesting because I don't think he's a trickster because he wants to be. I think he's just curious. He's a baby, so he gets into like all kinds of mischief. A friend of mine, Anika, she actually mentioned that he looks like Jack Jack, and ever since she said that, I can't unsee that. And he's also another one of those dolls where I put a tuft of hair on his head. I just think that is infinitely cute. Like, it never stops being cute to me. And this is Baby Boop. Baby Boop was actually the first Island Doll Brew that I got. And he's so cute. I mean, look at him in that little romper. This romper actually came from a friend. He actually gave me this outfit and the outfit that that Keebler is wearing as well. I believe they're Lala Loopsy. The little tiny Lala Loopsy outfits, which I need to get on the ball and just go and find some more outfits like this because they just look so cute on their little chubby bodies. He's so sweet. Alright, because I'm including the vinyl dolls that are part of the BJD world, I'm going to include a couple of really sweet Obitsu dolls that were actually gifted to me this year. Which is interesting because I don't think I mentioned this, but this particular, I believe this is a 23 centimeter doll. This is probably my favorite Obitsu body. I've had several over the years, and I'm happy to finally have some back in my collection because it seems like that 23 centimeter, the latest one, and the 26 centimeter bodies have kind of like taken over. It's kind of hard to get these if you don't go and get them from the Para Box, which is their official site. But they don't have names yet. There are two of them. There's a blue-haired girl. Let me move this one out of the way. And then there's a green-haired girl. They don't have names yet. They're just cute. And I felt like they should be mentioned. Anyway, let's move on to this tiny situation. Okay. This tiny girl is actually... Ooh, I forgot the name of these dolls. Here, let me show you one that's not been hybrid. These dolls right here. I can't remember what these are called. I have a couple of big ones as well. But one day I was kind of just chilling in the doll room and I was like, I wonder if I could smash one of these heads on an 11 centimeter Obitsu body. And I did. And it's a really, really secure connection that I had to rig up with like some pegs and stuff. But it works out perfectly. Even the skin tone. I haven't gotten around to like sewing her anything or crocheting her anything. She's really small. And like my tiny dolls usually get really neglected because to make things on that tiny scale, I actually have to pay attention or I'll go straight to sleep. So I don't get around to it. But I've got to make her something. I mean, look at her. She looks like she's about to burn down the fucking house. this is Hershey. Hershey is an Orange Tea Dolls Paulette, and her birthday is Christmas Eve. Paulette feels like a New Yorker. Like, seriously. She's probably by far the most stylish yosd I own. I mean, she always has to be dressed to the nines, and I really enjoy that. She fits into a lot of fashion doll pieces. She's actually wearing rainbow high shoes that the boys were wearing. And then she's got LOL OMG socks on. The tights are made to move tights. They're super stretchy. I made the dress. And then the jacket that she's wearing is, I believe, from a Dynamite Girl, which is an Integrity Toys brand. Discontinued brand, rather. And yeah, she's got this painted on hair I really like. And I really need to redo her face up. But I've kind of gotten to that place where this face up is her. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if I were to redo this face up, it would have to be me just redoing this face up. And I know that I could probably do it a little bit better. Actually use like different colors and stuff to add depth to both the hair and her brows and stuff. But I haven't gotten around to doing it because I like this face up. I've bonded. I feel like the moment I erase this face up, hopefully she'll have to tell me who she is again, because the wiping of the face up will erase her. I don't know. I really like her. She's so stylish. My little Christmas baby. This guy is Bink. Bink is an old original character that I created a few years back in a different shell, actually. But I always knew that this character would be yosd. And the whole story around this character is that Bink is a birthday wish spirit. So Bink hears those silent birthday wishes that you don't say out loud but you think. He hears them and he gets them to processing so that they might come true. And Boink is kind of the same. He's got the same job, the same situation as Bink. The only difference is they're both working in two different departments. His job is to get the birthday wishes to processing so they happen. His is to do the exact opposite. His is to get them to the trash can, essentially, so that they don't happen, so that things stay balanced. And together they're kind of like yin and yang. Yeah, these two. I love them. They were actually pretty cheap. I think I only paid like $80 per doll. And they seem to pop up on the secondhand market pretty often. They're not expensive. I've given mine Unoa hands that I found on the secondhand market. These pair don't really match very well to the resin, but that doesn't bother me because these characters are supposed to be fantastical. So this guy is Chihiro. I've named him after my favorite protagonist in my favorite movie, Spirited Away, but I've changed the spelling. Chihiro is... he's kind of pissed with me most of the time, just because he doesn't really like to be displayed with anybody. He's a loner. He doesn't like to people. And he keeps trying to call this National Doll Protective Service, and I keep telling him that's not a thing. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. But despite him trying to literally jail me for displaying him with any other doll, he manages to be just the most darling doll. He's a sweetheart, and I'm pretty sure he's also the favorite for lots of my friends. Like, people always tell me I should take more photos of him, but he doesn't want that. I don't think he really likes being picked up either, but he does like to be dressed. and I think that's probably where we bond the most. He likes all my cozy stuff. Sweetheart. And this is Corey. I've named him after my husband because something about him reminds me of my husband, which is interesting because I don't think they look anything alike. It's just like this doll's vibes or something. He is a boy. I know he looks like a girl. That's a common trend of my dolls. And he doesn't really have very much of a story outside of, I guess, just the way that I got him. I mean, I saw him on the secondhand market, and I had never owned a doll by this company, nor had I ever looked into the company. I just saw him and I saw this face up, and my favorite size of BJD is probably yosd, and everything just kind of clicked into place. Like, he was priced pretty decently considering for what they go for. And I just brought him home, and he's been here ever since. He's a sweetheart. You know, I think he's aware that he's a doll. Also, I'm obsessed with him in this wig. I mean, this doll in particular, he was without a wig for years, kind of juggling through all of the different wigs I had on. And recently, I made him this super fluffy, curly mohair wig. And it is literally everything he could ever have wanted. He's so cute. This is Donut. Donut is another one of my original characters that I created years ago, and for whatever reason, the doll that he was once is no more. And it was actually a Hujo wing, just like this guy is. But it was, I think, a natural skin Hujo wing. And I intended for Donut to always be tan, but I could never find a tan Hujo. And then one kind of popped up on the secondhand market a couple years back, and I snatched him quick because the Hujo wing don't seem to ever make it to the secondhand market anymore. But yeah, why is he hanging behind this chair? Donut is nonverbal, and he kind of speaks to everybody with his eyes, and he easily gets overstimulated, which is why he's wearing headphones on one ear and one without the other. It's kind of his way of coping with how loud the world is. He's really sweet. I actually modeled his character around a good family member of mine, and something about this doll also kind of connected with that family member in my mind. So yeah, some of you guys might already recognize him, but this is Yamato, and he is just the sweetest. He doesn't really have very much of a character, or rather, I didn't create him with any kind of character in mind. He was originally one of those Match Girl dolls that I got and kind of reviewed, I think a couple years ago now, that's on the channel. And he ended up being yosd sized with these really cute hands. These hands are actually from the original Match Girl body. And I painted him. He kind of acts as kind of like my ambassador of anime shit in the doll room. Because whenever I get new anime stuff, for whatever reason, I'm always just like really compelled to put him near it. Like when I got my new Gravitation manga volumes, I wanted to photograph him with them. I think it's really interesting that the more you love a doll, the more banged up and scratched up their paint and such will get. And that's definitely the case for this lovely doll. This is Jory. He's by far one of the most influential dolls in my collection because acquiring him made me a much more craftier individual. So I think in this respect, he deserves to be cleaned up. Okay, story time. When I purchased Jory, I purchased him blank. He was my first white skin doll. He was my first chubby MSD. And I was determined to bring him to life. Well, that didn't really happen that way. I went through several face ups and I wasn't really happy with any of them. So I now own two heads for this same doll, and one is blank, and I kind of use to make headdresses for this scale, and the other one is the original face up from the company. Jory feels like the original face up from the company, but Jory also was very demanding in the way that this guy wants to be comfortable, stylish, and generally spoiled. I thought that I would purchase comfy clothes for this doll to wear. That wasn't going to cut it. He wanted me to make everything that he wanted. He wanted crocheted garments, he wanted knit garments, he wanted them to be fuzzy, he wanted them to be comfortable, and most importantly, he wanted them to be only his. So he wanted them to be custom. And that's how I ended up creating this super complicated and sweet doll that I now know as Jory. And because of him, I'm now really skilled when it comes to making garments. It's led me down a journey that I'm so happy that I've been able to go down. And I don't think I would have ever got there had I never got Jory. I find that I have a lot to say about my dolls. They're pretty special dolls, and I have several, and I feel like a dedicated video to each of my dolls, or all compiled into one video, would make more sense. So for now, enjoy seeing them. I'll talk more about this later in the video. And this little lady is Kiwi. I actually forget Kiwi's sculpt name, but I'll pop it on the screen. The Kiwi here has actually been with me for about a year. I actually got her last year for my birthday, and it was one of those situations where I wasn't looking for her, but I saw her in the secondhand market, and I thought, I really love the Leak World art body. This would be about the fourth or fifth time I've had the Leak World art body in my possession in my collection for a while. But this time I think she's going to stay. Because while I've had this body with a default head from Leak World, I think she would be the first time I've had a big old head on this body, and I've really enjoyed it. I've done this. I've done this kind of aesthetic before, where I've had a big old head on this body, and it's been cute, but nothing's really stuck. But I'm really digging her. About her personality, I would say, God, and I hate putting it like this, but Homegirl is a whole ass thief, for real, for real. Let me explain. So this entire look that she's wearing here is actually nothing of hers. When I say thief, I mean this girl doesn't typically have her own style. She's picking and choosing what she takes from other dolls. Like this entire look here, like this romper kind of capri situation here, I made for another doll. Same with this headband and these shoes and socks. They all belong to other dolls in the collection. But she doesn't really want her own stuff, which is a shame because I have made, like, when she came home, just like any of my other dolls, when they come home, I will spoil them rotten. I've made her specific things for herself, but it's she'll wear them, but she'd sooner wear somebody else's. So yeah, yeah, I love her though. She's a sweetheart. Smart doll eyes from one of the semi-real sculpts that I got, and I think they look swimmingly on her. They really bring out her cheeky little I'm gonna steal your shit kind of vibe. This lovely lady is Jazz, made by the company GIDEO, and she is probably my favorite MSD to dress, just because she's considered to be a fashion. She's considered to be a fashion BJD, and she fits into a lot of pieces that aren't actually BJD at all. Let's take a look. Okay, so here she is in her entirety. She's wearing a curvy Barbie dress, actually, and it actually fits her really, really well. Purple and pinks are definitely her colors. And I think the best thing about this doll is that she can fit into so much. She fits into Barbie, she fits into MSD, she fits into just toner pieces sometimes. Like, dressing her is always such a ride because every time I dress her, I find out that she fits. I find out that she fits into something that I would not have thought she would fit into. The only problem is I haven't really been able to find her shoes. It's really hard to find her shoes because her arch isn't so high. In fact, her arch is very similar to like Rainbow High, but her foot is too wide to fit into their shoes. She fits into boy Rainbow High shoes, but I mean, come on. There's like no variety there. This is Yayoi. She's a Match Girl doll. This is the second Match Girl doll from that Match Girl video review I did a couple years back. She's currently on, I believe it's an Momo doll body. It's another vinyl doll company that I found on Instagram. I'm actually not as happy as I thought I was going to be with this body, just because it keeps falling apart. Yayoi started out as an original character. She was going to be a Pokemon trainer, and she specifically trained electric type Pokemon. And that's more or less still her vibe, but obviously she looks a lot more cozy than what I initially had for her. I think she's still under construction because something about her still wants to be yosd, even though I feel like she should be MSD because her head was MSD. But I think it's got something to do with Yamato. Yamato ended up being yosd, so a part of me feels like she should be also. Not to mention, I think she'd be really cute, and I'd like to put her on a resin body. Her and Yamato both, actually, just because it'd be more cost effective, and it would like heighten their quality. But yep, this is my girl Yayoi. She's the only, she's the only MSD vinyl doll that I have in my collection. That'll probably change, but I think playing around with the vinyl dolls is fun. Which brings me to my Smarties. These lovely ladies would be my Smart Dolls. All of them are vinyl. All of them are about 60 centimeters, or exactly 60 centimeters, I think. And all of them would be considered to be SD sized. This is Yui, my Smart Doll Athena in the T-skin. She was my very first Smart Doll. She's really dynamic. She's kind of sassy. She's smart and sort of a smart ass. She's kind of a protector. She's the live wire of the group, I'd say. Kimiko is a sweetheart. She's our resident artist doll. She likes to sketch and stuff. I've kind of played around with her eyes and hair and everything often, so she won't look like this probably even in a month. I love her. She's a sweetheart. This is my Smart Doll Genesis NT. I've named her Rain. And Rain is my very first Smart Doll that's actually challenged me to make things a bit more sexy or risque. I mean, just so you can kind of get her look. I think she's a coder, but I'm not exactly sure yet. She likes dad jokes and stuff. Yeah. She's unassuming in just how goofy she is because of how she looks. But yeah, she's a goofball. This is my Smart Doll Beyond. I've named her Ariyuki. I call her Ari for short. She's really sweet. This girl actually tells me that she likes to do fashion sketches. And I've had this idea for the longest time that I would sketch more and put them in a tiny little doll-sized sketchbook, and those sketches would be like hers. I think I still want to do that. I haven't done anything in the way of actually making that happen, but I love that idea. Yeah. I'm still getting to know her. She's so sweet. So I'm not entirely sure like what her overall style or personality would be just yet, as I've just got her recently. But I do know whatever that is, it's gonna be wow. She's such a good doll. Such a good doll. I'm blown away by her shape. I love sewing for her. I love sewing for all of my Smart Dolls, but this curvier shape really does speak to me a lot. I have a lot to say about her, but it's mostly just me fawning over just how fun of a doll she is. She's been my favorite here lately out of all of my Smart Dolls, and I can't wait to get more of the Pear Girls from Smart Doll Land. This is Aya. She's my one and only SD Unoa, being Unoa 0. And right now she's using, I believe this is the Marion faceplate. Initially, I always expected that she would be this faceplate, but I have used the Latea faceplate as well for her. And here's her outfit. She's not wearing shoes because my dolls 100% go by the philosophy that when you're in the house, there are no shoes to be worn. Maybe some socks, but not really shoes, at least for most of my dolls. So you'll notice that in the MSD portion of this video, I didn't really say a whole lot about the Unoa, mainly because this girl right here would be a really good explanation. She has had several looks, and because the Unoa dolls operate with the faceplate system, they will look different at any given moment while still being the same doll or character in my mind, and they grow with me. And because of that, I have a wealth of things to say about them, but it feels weird blabbering about the same doll for like hours in the video where there's other dolls to be spoken about. Somewhere down the road, I'll probably do a dedicated video for my Unoa dolls and really go into how I feel about them, where I found them, and stuff like that, and just kind of like play in the video a little bit. But for right now, I'm just going to introduce you guys to them. She doesn't really have that much of a story, I would say. Um, this doll came to me and I wasn't planned for her, and she's been in my collection for years. And I actually think recently with this new face up and the new faceplate, she looks more like what I expected her to look like years ago. Yeah, and I'm really happy with her. She's gonna continue to develop though, I have a feeling. I will say she does like my handmade things, which is why she's here with my basket of yarn. Yeah. Virgil is kind of in a very interesting spot. His character was that of a protector of another doll that is no more. I'm currently working on that doll's shell, so you won't see him in this video. But he still wants to be the protector. He's just kind of not sure what he's protecting anymore. So he's just my resident little sweet boy. Sweet but bad, maybe. Midori's story was born from my broken heart. I created her story and character around the time that I was experiencing our last global tragedy dealing with the pandemic. Her story is odd but very healing, and during that time, buying this doll and attaching this story to her was probably the most healthiest thing I did during that time. Midori's story would take you on this journey where, for whatever reason, this ancient forest spirit is somehow declining. She's wounded somehow, and she doesn't know why, and she doesn't know how it happened, and she's afraid that her ending is underway. But on her journey, she ends up running into a lot of different characters that would actually tell the story a lot better than I am right now. But I would like to say that her story hasn't had an ending yet, and I've told it a couple of times, and I do think that this doll is the only reason the story lives. I feel that if she were to ever leave my collection, so with that story, I have written it down, and every time I write it down, and it's been several times that I've written it down, it changes a little bit because I find that the story changes just as much as I do. And I guess that's the story of my whole doll collection. Yeah. So thanks for watching this video, and thank you for coming on this really odd journey of getting my BJDs together. This is Midori, and this is also me saying, I'll see you in my next one.